Hello and welcome to Corner Fine Art. Today I'm going to be doing a 2021 year recap on some of the paintings that I created this year, and I'm very excited to show you some of them and let you know that they are available for purchase on my website or through email. So let me get started by saying that this year was a year of exploration. I explored a lot of different themes that I hadn't before in my art. So one of them was fauna. So before, I used to do a lot of just landscape paintings of natural settings without a lot of animals. So this year I wanted to get more into learning about different animals that are native to where I live, but also some exotic animals that I love the look of. And I was really excited to watch documentary after documentary. I learned a lot and enjoyed the process of painting in acrylics and watercolors. Another thing that I really explored this year was I got into doing portraits of animals, domestic animals such as cats and dogs, rabbits, so pets. And this is something that you all really loved. I got a lot of commissions for that, and eventually I started getting commissions for people portraits, which was really exciting for me as well, because I started exploring with different portraits of people that I know. But then as I started getting more commissions of people in my community that I may not have known before, I really got to know the different people that I painted and their stories, and it really enriched this year for me. So some of the pieces that I have here in my studio are some leftover pieces that I didn't sell at the exhibits that I had. I had some exhibits throughout the year in different galleries, and because of the pandemic there weren't a lot of people around yet. A little bit more certainly than last year, and I did make some sales, but I did have a lot of leftover paintings, and also just because I'm very prolific. I paint a lot of paintings in a month. I love to stay active, stay creative. I also did a lot of nature journaling this year, which I really enjoyed because it allowed me to see things that I hadn't maybe noticed before in different places that I've been to in my community and also outside of my community. So I started noticing and observing different flowers, insects or animals that were around me, the streams, the trees, everything, observing things up close and taking the time to notice things that have to do with how nature works and the processes that go on outside even when we're inside living our lives. So that was really interesting to me, and I do have a lot of nature journaling videos in my channel if you're interested in getting into that, or just watching. It's really relaxing to watch someone just paint or draw. So that was one of my other purposes with those videos this year. I wanted to bring some peace and relaxation to the community that supports me, because I know how stressful life is in general, but also that addition of the pandemic and other stressors that are going on around us. It's really important to ground ourselves and notice the natural world and how it works, and learn from it, learn to be in a peaceful state of mind, and forget about some of that anxiety and stress that we carry on our shoulders and our heads and our body every day. So that was one of my focuses this year as well, just to provide that hope, that relaxation, that shelter for everybody out there who watches my videos and supports me. So without further ado, let me get into some of the pieces that I created this year. Behind me I have my gallery wall, and these are some pieces that I created in previous years, but also some that I created this year. So for example, the monarch butterflies painting. This painting is one of my favorites that I created this year. It is a watercolor, and it was inspired by the monarch butterflies that are in danger each year. I see less of them, and I did create a video specifically for this painting if you want to learn more about the inspiration for it. But I have a lot of different butterflies posing in the milkweed, which is their source of food and also their breeding grounds. That's where they create their chrysalis, and their chrysalis opens up and they feed on the pollen of this plant. So that was really important for me to create a piece with the monarch butterflies because it also is my logo. So it is something that represents my artwork. So that was one of the pieces, and the other piece that's on this wall is the Magnolia grandiflora. I live in the south, so the magnolias are very present everywhere I go. I love those huge blooms, but also the shape of the tree. It's really interesting to me. So I painted watercolor with the opened up bloom, a closed bloom, and a bud. And some of the leaves, they have a copper tone underneath, and then that really deep green on the other side, and they're almost very reflective. So I wanted to portray that on my painting, and I have my plants here in front of this wall, so it may cover a little bit of the painting, but I will include a slideshow at the end of the video for you to have a closer look at these. So now for some acrylics. I actually did a lot more watercolors than I did acrylics this year, mainly because it was medium that I got into more this year. In previous years, I had done a lot of acrylics. All these paintings that you see here, this side, the ones at the top, and this one are all acrylic paintings, and they've been created in the previous 2 or 3 years. So they are more acrylics that I created in the past, but this year I really focused on watercolors, so I will have a little bit more of those to show you than acrylics. So the first one I want to show you is an acrylic painting. This one is a landscape of Cañon de Chelly, or Cañon de Chelly, I think is the correct pronunciation, in Arizona. So I traveled to this beautiful land and was able to go down in the canyon, but also look at the views from above. So here is one of the landscapes that was so inspiring to me. Just the magnitude of the rocks and the contrast of the green with the red, pink stones and rocks. So this one is 12 by 16 acrylic, and I am in the process of framing it for an exhibit that's gonna be in January next year. It is on canvas board. So it was such an adventure to go to this canyon and explore landscapes that I had never seen before in the desert. It was a really cool experience, so I definitely wanted to immortalize that with acrylics. Now, another painting that I created with acrylics is a painting closer to home. It is a botanical study of pitcher plants. So here in the state of North Carolina, the carnivorous plants are natives, and there's a lot of places along the coast that I see these plants. So this summer, these pitcher plants just were so inspiring to me that I had to paint them. I love the green colors and the white and the red, just that contrast of the strong white color in there. So let me bring it a little bit closer for you to see some of the details. So here are the flowers, and then here are the pitcher plants, and this plant feeds on insects, mainly flies, that go inside the tube of the pitcher plant, the pitcher of the pitcher plant, and the Inside fills with acids that digest the insects. So very fascinating plant indeed. So I just had to paint it and capture it. It was so inspiring to me to be there. I also saw a lot of other varieties of plants, like the Venus flytrap, of course, the honeydew. So those were also very interesting. And I have done some pitcher plant studies. I did one in watercolor, which is also available, and I will include it in the slideshow at the end as well, just you have that to look at as well. So this is an 11 by 14 acrylic, also on canvas board, which I am also getting ready to frame. Now the next painting is also acrylic. This one was a new format for me this year. I started painting on circle canvases. So this is one of the ones that I was talking about at the beginning, where I started doing some animal portraits and animal studies. So this one is of the Jaguar, South American Jaguar. And I just love the different textures. I actually did a whole series of wildcats. So I did a lion, a tiger, a lioness, and I did the jaguar, and I did a cheetah as well. And I only have the jaguar and the lioness left. But these are acrylics, and look at some of the detail and intricate line work that I did on this one. And I just love his eyes. They just really stand out, and they really tell a story. So I was watching a lot of different videos and documentaries on wildcats, and that really inspired me to capture the animal and the essence of its wild in the eyes. So again, I love this painting, one of my favorites. I believe it's 12 inches in diameter on a round canvas, and it does have a little bit of thickness to it. Now the next painting is framed behind the glass, so there might be a little bit of reflection, but I'll try to get rid of it. This one is again a fauna and flora combination, kind of like the monarch butterfly one. But this one is of some goldfinch, birds, and some flowers. So I just thought that they went perfectly together. And again, I did do a video of this painting by itself, just talking about my inspiration for it, and went more in detail about the process. So this one has 3 different birds and a lot of different sunflower types, and just very simple stark blue sky with the green. And this image came to me during a walk that I did at a local garden. So it was just really something that was so simple. I went on a walk, and I was just observing what was around me, and it really captured me and inspired me to create this watercolor. And then these next 2 are some of the most recent ones that I've done. I wanted to do a pair of desert imagery. I haven't been to the desert maybe in 2 years. I think the last trip was that Canyon de Chelly, Arizona one that I did, but also went to these 2 places. So these are the Horseshoe in Arizona, and these are watercolors as well as the previous one. So this one is the rock formations in the water around, and these are more new, so I haven't made videos about the inspiration for them. So this one was an experiment. I was experimenting on textures and just being a little bit more loose with my watercolor painting. So it was, you know, a challenge for me because I tend to be very detail oriented in my watercolors as well as my acrylics. And I think it might be because I started with acrylics and I was really detailed with that. So when I moved on to watercolors, I wanted to be the same way. So this one, you know, I do have more loose shapes and textures on here, and I will include a picture in the slideshow at the end for you to see up close without the reflection. But even here on this side, you can see it a lot, and in the main rock formation, a lot of loose brush strokes for sure. And in addition with this one that I'm going to show you next, it's the same type of experimentation with looser type of line and also a desert scene. So it might surprise you, but there are waterfalls in the desert, and this was one of them. Here it is. It is also in Arizona. I believe it's called King Falls. But there was very little water when I went, so you can see some of the drips here with the watercolors, and the water was like this greenish yellow because of the rocks. And then you have the blue sky with some clouds and the mountain in the background, and then just this space of emptiness and desert and rocks with some greenery, and then the really dramatic falls, and then a pool in the bottom. So this one, both of them are 12 by 16, I believe, and they were really fun to create. You know, it was a challenge for me to get a little bit more loose brush strokes with my watercolors, but I definitely enjoyed it. And you know, everything that I did this year brought a lot of happiness, and it made my art be better, and it developed my style, and it helped me learn a lot about my surroundings, native species, plant and animals that live in my community, but also animals that live in other parts of the world, and people in my community as well, and to hear some of their stories. And I do have some of the in-process videos of those people portraits that I created, and also the pet portraits that I created. If you want to check those out, feel free to do so. So thank you so much for support this year. I really enjoyed creating all these pieces for you and sharing my journey with you in 2021, and I am hoping and looking forward to a 2022 full of new bright ideas, different explorations in different mediums and in the same mediums, because I do love acrylics and watercolors. So thank you so much, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and see you in 2022. It's not too late to shop for Christmas or for New Year's or for a birthday. So if you want to buy some original artwork and support my business, Corona Fine Art, please check out my website, coronafineart.com. I have a lot of information about me and my art journey, and also a lot of different pieces from prints, original watercolors and acrylics, and stationery. So please don't forget to visit my website and drop me a comment below, and please subscribe to my channel.